Okay, welcome back to the conference. I welcome you to the first panel dialogue now. I hope you've made yourself familiar with the tool of, can't see me now, now you can see me, with the tool of Wanda. It's a great tool, and we will give you some more time to engage there. Oh, actually, could do like this. So we will give you some more time to engage in Wanda, because it will be open the whole time now, during the conference. So now, next up on the topic of brain drain in education, it is my honor to give the floor to Professor Sibila Borojevic-Sosteric from the Department of Mineralogy, Petrology and Mineral Resources at the University of Zagreb. Sibila, the floor is yours. Please introduce us to your panelists and tell me if we can hear you and you can hear us.
Thank you, Anna. Good afternoon, everybody from Zagreb. I'm very happy to start the first dialogue in brain drain in education, which will last for 1 hour. And in this 1 hour with me are 5 panelists, which I will now introduce shortly. Daniel Berger from Technical University Berg Academy Freiburg. Then Zoltan Bekta from University of Miskolc in Hungary. Nenad Jeftovic from Institute for Development and Innovation in Serbia. Suzanna Gotovac Atlagić from University of Banja Luka from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And Maria-Elena Murphy from Montana University Leoben from Resource Innovation Center in Leoben. Maria-Elena is just across us, sitting in the chair. And we will start with the questions in the order of the countries grouping. So first, I will address my panelists coming from the Serbia, Bosnia, and then Hungary. And then I will switch toward the north, toward the Germany and Austria. So for the beginning and for starting, I would like to address my first panelist, Nenad. To tell us a little bit on the current trends in the brain drain in Serbia. Nenad, please connect and let me see whether we can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. Is everything okay?
We have a little bit of problem with the microphone here from your side with echo. Could you check whether you have maybe registered it at 2 locations parallelly?
Is everything okay now? Phones.
Much better. Nenad? Yes, Nenad? Yes, we can hear you. So the question was the current situation in the brain drain in Serbia.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. When to start when we talk about brain drain in the Republic of Serbia? As you know, Balkan situation is not good because a lot of every year through cost limitation and through brain drain in the Republic of Serbia, a lot of young people emigrate to other countries, especially to OECD countries and European Union, especially to Austria, Germany, France, UK. And that is one of the biggest problem in our country, brain drain. We have conducted analysis cost of youth immigration in the Republic of Serbia, cost of youth immigration. We recognize that there are 2 main costs for Serbia when it comes to brain drain. Cost of education, because Republic of Serbia was investing through years in a young person, and when that young person emigrates, for example, to Germany or Austria, that is cost for Serbia. Of course, we lose in potential GDP when one person emigrates to other country, to abroad. We lose potential of our GDP. Of course, there is a positive effect. Remittances are very important for our country, but I want to underline that remittances are very important, but the composition of the remittances are very bad, because just 1% of Serbian remittances just goes to investment. If you agree, now I will tell you something about data. The data is the biggest problem, because there is no data. There is no data about the number of immigrants from Serbia, Serbian citizens, to EU countries or to OECD countries. There is just estimated number of remittances. That's the reason why we prepared different scenarios in analysis cost of youth immigration from Serbia, scenario 1, scenario 2, and scenario 3. And now, just to please give me the opportunity to share the content I've prepared yeah, thank you very much. I just want to share with you, just to share the numbers. I hope that you can see short presentation.
Yes.
You can see, okay, that is the average annual net population outflow to OECD countries from Western Balkans. And at the first place, Serbia. You can see Montenegro, North Macedonia, Albania, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Of course, I want to say that we conducted analysis cost of youth immigration and in other Western Balkan countries, and that is the average net population outflow. And you can see average net population outflow in comparison to the average total population in this period. And situation is the worst in Albania. And my third, I want to show you total cost of emigration of young people from Western Balkan countries to OECD or to European countries. Scenario 1, 2, and 3, as I said, scenario 1, 2, and 3, because there is no data about the number of immigrants from Western Balkan countries. In scenario 1, just look at Serbia as the biggest country. Serbia is in the worst position when we talk about Western Balkan countries, but look for all Western Balkan countries. In the worst scenario, around 1.2 billion euros every year we lost through immigration.
So can I just ask a sub-question to be clear? What are we looking at? These are the costs of education per year, somehow divided by the estimated number of immigrants who are who receive the education in these countries.
Yeah, you are right, and that is an education cost in the Western Balkan countries. Education, one of two groups of cost for every country. The biggest cost is your education cost, but also there is cost in potential GDP, but the topic of our conversation is education cost. Because of that, I prepared scenarios in line with education cost in Western Balkan countries.
So what is the difference between scenario 1, 2, and 3, just with the numbers? Or
yeah. Thank you very much for that question. What is the difference in scenario 1, scenario 2, and scenario 3? The difference is composition of highly educated, secondary educated, and primary educated people. Because in scenario 3, half our assumption is that the half of the people in that scenario are highly educated people. And I think, in my personal opinion, that is a very, very real scenario in this situation, in scenario 3. Because highly educated people, especially youth, highly educated people, they are dominant between people who emigrate to EU and other OECD countries.
So not just the loss of young educated people, but also the huge loss of huge investments of the countries investing in these people and not really founding them proper employment after this investment, which is a huge waste of the money. I will now ask you a sub-question, and this is related to our raw materials graduated students. Do you have any data about the rate of unemployment in the population of graduated students in raw materials sector?
I do not have precise data about raw material students, but as a researcher and an economist who are very deep in this topic, the position of raw material students in Serbia and I think in other Western Balkan countries are much better than the position of students from, for example, from philology, from economics, or like, because that sectors are more prosper, much better, with higher salaries than sectors of, for example, philology, economy, or other parts of the labor market in the Republic of Serbia.
From your point of view, is there a brain circulation present? We discussed previously in the key presentations about the brain circulation. Is it present, and to which extent is present in Serbia?
Very tough question. Circular migration and that kind of circulation between, for example, EU and the Republic of Serbia is very important. But I think at this moment, that's not our present. But I think we build circumstances and we build a country who are very responsible in that way. And I think circular migration will be normal situation in our country in a few years. That, and in line with that, the sector of innovation, especially sector of innovative parks in the Republic of Serbia are very, very important.
I have a last question for you, Nenad. If you are a young and educated a person living in Serbia, how can you succeed? What would be the recipe for success, personal, professional success in Serbia?
Thank you very much for that question. But in my case, I don't know. Maybe I think I was a great student at the Faculty of Economics. That without any kind of political help, I had opportunity to work in the National Assembly of the Republic of Serbia, in the government of the Republic of Serbia, in help of international projects. After that, with a group of young, very successful economists, I developed and established Institute for Development and Innovation. In my case, the support of international programs and international donors was very important because I became a part of the National Assembly of our Parliament as a technical staff in support of the British government. That's why I didn't need any kind of political card in the Republic of Serbia, because it was very open and open process for that job position. And as one of the best students in that moment at the Faculty of Economics in Belgrade, I had the opportunity to become a part of the national parliament in the Republic of Serbia, and the help of British government, I had the opportunity to learn a lot, because they invested a lot of money in my education. That was a recipe for recept for that.
Thank you, Nenad. So talent plus opportunity plus hard work is equal to success. Thank you. I will move now to the next panelist, and I would like to ask Suzanna, who is joining us from Banja Luka, from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and ask her actually the same introductory question. First, let's see what is the status of the brain drain in Bosnia. Suzanna.
Sibila, thank you very much for the introduction. I will also share a little bit of content, if you allow me, please. At this moment, I don't have the button for sharing the content. First of all, just to introduce myself in few sentences, I am also the repatriot, what I like to say about myself, because I spent 8 years abroad. I studied for 5 years in Japan and 3 years in Switzerland. I did my master's degree and my PhD in chemistry, specializing in nanochemistry, which is a very attractive area now. It's been 13 years that I'm back home in Bosnia. I live in Banja Luka with my family, and as you can see from the introduction, I work at the University of Banja Luka. I can say that I was really dedicated in all these 13 years that I'm back home into the agenda of pursuing or convincing as many students as possible to stay home. But first by introducing them to the world, I mean, through different international projects in which we succeeded to get nice grants for our research and everything. As you know, of course, we were able to pay our young researchers, our master students or graduate students, certain little salaries, which helped them for a while. And we were able actually to support their traveling to different locations around Europe, to see different institutes, to do the measurement at excellent institutes abroad. But at the same time, I think it was much to this personal example, somehow us, not just me, I mean, I'm talking about this whole population of repatriated people here in Bosnia, us personally pushing very strongly this personal agenda of the happiness. I mean, of course, we were able to much more succeed in our respective professions if we have stayed abroad. In my case, of course, I was offered a very nice postdoc position in Japan. I worked in Switzerland as a teaching assistant. I speak fluent French, so that was not a problem. So I was working at the National University in Switzerland, and everything was right, but something wasn't right at the same time, because although you had all these material satisfaction and sense of living in these beautiful, very well organized countries, I can say in two almost probably most organized countries in the world, Japan and Switzerland are, and somehow something was missing. So what was missing was actually the challenge, and I think I was talking about that last year in Zagreb when we had this similar conference. The challenge was missing, and I found the challenge in my own country, but at the same time, I have to be very much realistic about the fact that I was not very welcome when I came home. Just like Nenad says, I was trying to stay very much out of all these political influence on my own career, or using the politics to push my career forward. And I must say at this place that I was offered a very attractive proposition in the second year when I came home. I was offered the position of the Minister of Science in Republika Srpska, where I live. And of course I refused it completely, because it was it was the condition was to join certain party which was in power at that moment. And I can say that staying out of the politics have slowed my career about 3 times, probably. This is just my, of course, estimation. But nevertheless, I did succeed. And this relates to the question Sibylla gave us. Can you succeed if you are not, if you are just a hardworking, young, enthusiastic, and positive person, but you don't have the political connection? And I think we can, but it's a huge struggle. But at the same time, as I say, I never regret my decision to come back home. I found my challenges, which I was looking for. And I think I'm able each year to stop from emigrating few of my students. And I wrote a wonderful review from some sociologists very recently who said that one highly educated repatriated person who has enough energy to face the challenges of repatriation can stop up to 100 people not to emigrate. So, of course, it's not just stopping them not to emigrate. It's important for them to find the jobs and to find stable life in Bosnia. And I think it is possible. The only thing they have to switch is from this illusion that to succeed, they have to work in national agencies or any kind of national, government supported kind of jobs, which is the first preposition. When somebody finishes university in Bosnia, they think they are supposed to have these government supported jobs. So not being government official, just offering your talents and your energy to interesting companies which are investing around Bosnia now, I think is a great opportunity. And we succeed to a great level at the Department of Chemistry where I work now. We have practically zero emigration in last 6 years. We just have our students who are doing some PhD studies abroad, and we are pushing very much for them to come back, and we are trying to find the places for them, adequate subjects to teach, etc. So as for the data, I'm sorry, I think I'm not able to share.
You should be able, Suzanne. You now have the share option available.
Second, I had few tables, but it's not too much data, but just one moment. No, I think I have some trouble with sharing, but nevertheless, the data which I collect is very similar to those from NENAD. It is talking about remittances in millions of Bosnian marks. So it's something that is really attractive for us because we can see that we have this huge diaspora sending a lot of money, which is obviously supporting our economy or supporting their families and starting some little businesses, etc. And remittances are from data from 2018 is that there are over 4,000 millions Bosnian mark, which would be like 2 billion euros, I think, approximately, which is a very nice number, and it is quite reliable data because it's based only on the official transfers. So probably this is much larger. And the second data which we show is interesting that Bosnian citizens maintain their citizenship when they stay abroad, and we have about 1,700,000 people who keep Bosnian citizenship abroad. I talk about this number with a lot of sentiments because these are the people that don't want to give up the citizenship. Of course, thousands have taken some other citizenship, but these are the people who don't take other citizenship, although obviously they live abroad. And that means they are very much emotionally connected with the country. They bring their children often, they come here, they support their cousins in Bosnia, and probably they are the basis for these remittances. But as I said at the beginning, the most important thing is for highly educated people to come back. I belong to that population, and at this moment in Banja Luka, we have 202 PhDs from 18 countries who repatriated just in Banja Luka. This is data just for Banja Luka because we are establishing a little association of the people facing the comments of others who don't understand us. And if I come back to this sociologist opinion, actually based also on some similar data, that each of us will be able to help 100 young people find their place in Bosnia, although we will show them the world, we will help them get short grants, we will help them travel through our project activities, we will help them go to the conferences, etc. We push them to learn languages, we really push them to open to the world, but we teach them to bring the world to Bosnia. I'm very positive that Bosnia will have a bright future. I'm sorry if I was too long, maybe, but
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanna. I think we got a very good overview, and also your very valuable personal experience and the positive trends that you are introducing at the University of Banja Luka. So we are moving now to Hungary, to my colleague Zoltan, with a similar question. Hungary is much higher at the regional investment scheme in comparing to Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, and the Balkan countries, which higher incomes also in innovation and research and education. So we are wondering what is the situation in Hungary.
Yeah, thank you, Sibylla. Hello, everyone. I'm Zoltán Barta, University of Miskolc in Hungary. This is the northeastern part of Hungary, which is probably the most underdeveloped part of the country. And I would also like to share some slides. So if I get the right to share it, I will continue with my slides. So besides working at the University of Miskolc, I also happen to be the project manager of LIMBRA. This is a project funded by EIT RawMaterials, and so our main mission is to limit brain drain through teaching entrepreneurial skills to engineering students studying fields related to raw materials, and also helping them through a mentoring process to start their own businesses. And so I'm not an expert on brain drain. I'm involved in entrepreneurship incubation, but Sibylla helped me with some questions, and so that's how I put together a few statistics that might give you an insight about the Hungarian situation. So one of the questions was that, what's the situation with the unemployment level? And Sibylla's question was specifically to raw materials, but I don't have data on that. So this is everyone who has a college or university degree in Hungary. And so as you can see, even in the worst years, at least in recent memory, after the 2008 crisis, it didn't go above 4%. Right now, it's around 1 point something. So definitely this is not a push factor with brain drain. Another idea that came up this afternoon in many presentations, the wage gap. So I also took a look at this one. This is Eurostat data. And so what you see here is that the Hungarian median net income for those who have a university or college degree, so this is only for tertiary education, as a percentage of the median income of some other countries. And so as you can see, so if you look at Austria, Germany, 20-something%. So this is most definitely is a push factor. But then there is this other thing that they often say that, well, yes, you have the wage, but then you also have the living cost. So I put another statistics here, which is calculated in PPS. This is the purchasing parity standard of the Eurostat. So basically this controls for price level differences. And so it's still like 40-something%, the Hungarian median income. So definitely we have issues here. And this project, LIMBRA, it focuses on Visegrad countries. So I tried to find some statistics for all Visegrad countries involved. And now we have different columns here. The orange one is the one that relates to the tertiary education, so those with college and university degrees. And so as you can see, this is the most significant in case of Hungary. This is projected on over 1 million population. So this is the most significant in Hungary, but still by far not as large a problem as it is in Poland or Slovakia. But I have to say that we have similar problems that it was mentioned before, that we don't have real numbers. So we have statistics, but everyone believes that these numbers, that the official statistics tell us, they are not real. So researchers try to find other methods of calculating it. I have another one here. This comes from another study. Over here again, they have the three countries that are probably the most popular among Hungarians who leave the country: Austria, Germany, and the United Kingdom. And so what you see here is that, yeah, there are people coming back or coming to Hungary, and there are people leaving the country, but the net effect is negative. And this is not only true for tertiary education, but in all other areas as well. So, yeah, this is the statistics that I found. And I also found a survey that I think is rather interesting. This is from last year. And the interesting part is that it was conducted among people leaving the country for different Western countries. And so the question was, what is the motivation behind leaving the country? And so 1 is not important, 10 is extremely important. And so as you can see, some of these averages are extremely high, higher standards of living. And I think this is not just about the wage gap. This is also about a lot of other things that are very hard to measure. And they were maybe mentioned here, but for example, the quality of public goods that the government is able to provide to people is very different. And I think that's definitely something that explains much of what's going on. Job opportunities, obviously. And then we have this just general disagreement on how things are going as far as the economy or the political situation is concerned. That also has a rather high score here. And if you look at the bottom of the list, then you will see that previously we thought that after 2008, many people left the country because they had to repay certain debt and they didn't have the money, they lost their jobs, and so that's why they left. But this doesn't seem to be a very highly featuring motivation among people. And so I just got one final slide here for you. So it was a question also from Sibylla that, okay, so what can you do about it? And so there are some initiatives in Hungary. One, I mention it first because I think this is probably the most significant as far as brain drain is concerned, or maybe not the most significant, but definitely it's absolutely related to brain drain. And so this is a program started by the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, and it says that, okay, if you are a relatively young researcher and you work in the West, or you are just about to leave the country, you can apply for a government subsidy. It's very generous, so it's comparable to what you have available at a major European university. And so you get the funding to fund your own research lab here in Hungary and do research over here. And so this has been running for more than 10 years. And I can say that there were fairly well-known researchers who returned to Hungary as a result of this program. So it can be called a success, although it has to be said that in recent years, there was a fairly serious government intervention in academic affairs, and this might have an effect on this one as well. Another thing that is, I think it's a general problem in this whole region, is that physicians are fairly poorly paid in these countries, and they go to Germany and other countries. So it's just recently there was a huge 80% rise announced for physicians in Hungary, but then again, this is not so successful because the conditions of getting it are very strict, and so many physicians are fairly disappointed. So this might not lead to the results that were expected of those. There were initiatives to give government subsidy for those who return, so to start their own businesses. This wasn't really a successful project. So this is what I just wanted to tell you.
Many thanks, Zoltan, for these insights. Can I ask you your personal experience, what is the recipe for the success in Hungary?
What is the recipe for success? Well, one recipe is if you are a researcher, like if you work at a university, there are opportunities to get funding for your research. If you manage to do that, then it's definitely something that helps you. And of course, the other thing that I have to say, because it's related to our project as well, is that after getting a few years of experience, starting your own business, if you have a good idea, then it's definitely another thing that can help you to succeed.
So proactivity, I would say, proactivity, which is generally the rule. Thank you very much, Zoltan. Now we are moving to the west to our colleague from Technical University Freiburg, to Daniel Berger, and asking a question, Daniel, comparing to the countries in ESEE region, which we just heard the situation in, what is Germany doing differently, and how are things better in Germany? Why is the population tending to go actually to Germany?
Thanks, Sibylla. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Also, thank you very much for the introduction to give some insights of Germany. And first of all, I have to maybe change a bit the opinion when it comes to Germany and brain drain and those things. Because as you might see in the presentation now, we are also suffering a lot of emigration to other countries. And this is also showing a net immigration, because a lot of our employees or professionals moving actually to Switzerland and Austria. So it's quite funny, but it's the case. And but here's also maybe a good news for the ESEE region, because what we can say at the moment from actual studies in Germany is that this emigration is mostly a brain circulation. So our professionals go to, when they are young, to those countries, gaining more experience, also connecting internationally, and then returning later to Germany and to work here and going back home. And from my personal experience, as you know, Sibylla, I'm living and grown up in the eastern part of Germany, and also Germany was once separated into West and East Germany. And after the reunion, my generation especially also had the strong intention to move to the West to earn more salary and to have better chances and so on. And this is still some kind of the case in Germany. So if I would now go to the western part of Germany, I could also earn more money still in western regions in Germany. I could also have more opportunities in finding a job. But this is also a part of the attitude, I would say. And this is really belonging at the end, also what Suzanna said. For me personally, my decision staying here in eastern part of Germany is really part of my attitude. And I always have these discussions with my uncle, which is coming from the western side of Germany. He always tell me, come to Stuttgart, for example, you can have more salary and all these things. And then I say, no, it's not my target. My target is to stay here in this region, because if I wouldn't stay, this situation would never change. And this is the point maybe which have to be taken. So really trying to changing not only opportunities, but also trying to change the attitude of those students and professionals and so on. What we can actually do also to support from German side, or also from EIT RawMaterials side to develop a situation of brain circulation for ESEE countries is to do projects together. And one of these projects I've brought here with me, which we have actually in place. This is a master program, which we have together with universities in Ukraine, in Košice, Miskolc, and Sarajevo, where we developed a track of circular education, so to say. So the students start at their home countries for the first semester in their own programs, which are existing at their home universities. And then we take the students for the second and third semester first to Finland for a specific part of education, and then to Freiburg for a specific part of education. And then we are sending them back to the home countries where they actually write their master thesis on specific challenges from industry that they maybe after the studies can directly enter companies existing in their local societies and their home countries to support the economy there. This is the target. And also my colleague from Austria, Maria-Lena, which is also with me, she is doing inside our project that we have at the moment a study about the brain drain. So what are the key motivations, so to say, for students to study abroad and so on? But maybe Maria-Lena, you can tell a bit more about that.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I'd first like to say hello to ladies and gentlemen and colleagues and partners. And it's really great to be here today. So as Daniel already said, we play here at Mull a part within this that is directed specifically at brain drain. So last year we set up a strategy paper on, okay, how can we review this? How can we research it and utilize aspects of it to help the program master enter in more successfully keeping the students at home, and if there's other aspects that we can look at. So we started by first taking the European Union and the Committee of Regions report from 2018, which was a very, very big study, and it covered 20 initiatives from 22 European countries, and it took all the data and researched all the different strategies, and out of that it identified key success factors for countries to be able to retain their top talent, and also recommendations that were derived from that. So what we did with that was we did a pilot test, a small pilot test of that research and the key success factors. And we identified the target group, which is obviously the ESEE region. And we created a student questionnaire and an alumni questionnaire to find out, okay, what are their choices? Why do they choose to study in one place or another? And is it concurrent, and does it correlate with already identified successful strategies from this report? We sent this questionnaire out, and there was a total of 17 questions that were dry. We've already heard this all day. I mean, why do you study abroad, or why do you choose to take your education abroad? Is it because of the reputation of the university, the opportunities to the industry after graduation? And this just gives you a little bit of an idea of one of the questions of the 17 questions that we posed. Why did you choose to study in Leoben? And as you can see there, that it's, okay, the international contacts. So they believe that the international contacts are a lot more in-depth and broader by studying in Leoben than by staying solely at home or at home at all. And if you could move on, please, Daniel. Thank you. And for the graduate questionnaire, again, a lot of the identified key success factors that came from this European Union Committee of Regions report was, okay, you need to brand the region, you need to be aware of the talent that is there, and you need to have a dialogue with them. So on the basis of that, we came up with 12 questions and identified seven respondents from Romania, Russia, Poland, Bulgaria, Lithuanian, and also managed to get females in there as well. And we questioned them about their motives. And indeed, as was already mentioned throughout the program today, aspects of low pages, low wages, low opportunities, etc. So if we could move on. So we successfully completed a strategy paper, and out of that identified three very predominant recommendations for the Master Enter program, which was, okay, create a dialogue with your audience. You have to know what motivates them, why they choose one thing over another, because if you don't identify those factors, then you can't help to meet it. So in that reason, this year, we scaled up the research to include all the universities within the Master Enter OpESEE program. And we're also creating focus groups so we can really create a dialogue and really find out the motivation behind that. We translated it into the native languages of all the partners to try and increase the response rate as well, so that we really get data that we can work with. And so far now, we have 76 student responses and 23 graduate responses. And at the end of this year, we will produce a report targeting, identify projects, for instance, that can help these graduates with starting up their own companies in their own countries. Looking at extending industrial collaboration, because the demand for talent and brain drain is a two-way street. So industry need to attract top talent, and also countries need to stop brain drain as well. So it's about the triangle of dialogue between also business, industry, and university institutions. And each university needs to target, what policies are there, what opportunities are there, and somehow gather this into one centralized hub so that they can really, students can access, or graduates can access the information, and that they know, these are the opportunities. And that's where we currently stand right now. So thank you very much for allowing me to share this.
Thank you very much. So I would like to ask another question both to Daniel and Maria-Elena. Do you feel there is any impact from the current educational activities, positive impact on the brain drain? How do we stand with this?
I'm wondering if Daniel would like to go ahead first? Or...
Yeah. Do you mean especially with the EIT RawMaterials education activities, Sibylla?
Yes, I think currently these are the educational activities which are actually ongoing in the ESEE region. I do not see, from my perspective, there is any other activities which are related to our sector. So I think this is the relevant ones.
Yeah, I can only answer this question, especially for this project, because this is the only education ESEE project we are currently involved with from Freiburg side. There's another one for school kids, which is how's it called? Also popular
raw materials at schools.
Yes, right. But this is just started, so I can only explain a bit for the Enter program. And there is the case that the students are really happy to first get the opportunity to study abroad in this consistent program, and they are really eager to, so to say, also take the knowledge with them back to start something in their home countries. This is the impression that we have. We are now with the first cohort of the study program. At the moment, we have 8 students from Sarajevo here in Freiburg for the semester. Beside the COVID situation, it's still, we have a hybrid semester mixing presence lectures with online teaching. It's not the best way, but they are really eager to get all the degrees at the end, to take them with them, to start something in their own country. So, and this is the base idea. And also from the beginning of the program, we had some crazy ideas, like we are paying scholarships to the students, and we should also maybe do some legal agreements with them that if they are staying somewhere else in Germany or something like that, they have to pay it back or something like this. But we decided not to do it, to give them more the attitude of willing to do it than forcing them to go back.
I would like to address the same question to Suzanna, as the students group is coming from Bosnia, and what is your feeling about this project, and whether you think these guys will return really to Bosnia?
I'm not sure about which professions Daniel was talking about. I suppose maybe the young colleagues are geologists or some kind of engineering.
I think it's a mechanical, Daniel, it's a mechanical and process engineering.
Yes, industrial engineering and management from Sarajevo.
Okay. So as for the mechanical engineering, speaking about Banja Luka region, which has about almost 500,000 inhabitants here, we have no single mechanical engineer unemployed. This is one of the most desirable professions in Bosnia at this moment, which probably relates very much to the, of course, we have mechanical investment in mechanical engineering factories, especially from Italia. We have about, I think, 72 companies from Italia present in Bosnia, mostly in mechanical sector, but also they are very much desired in the area of the raw materials, of course, in our mines and material processing factories. We've seen them everywhere, so I don't see any reason why wouldn't they come back, only just for gaining some more experience, maybe having master degree as well, if they are now at the undergraduate studies, as I understood. So getting the master degree, and I think they could very easily find job in Bosnia. There is literally no unemployed mechanical engineer here.
So the need of the professions are high in the countries. The similar goes also for the Croatia, especially in raw material sector. We have high demand from the companies toward the younger graduates, and basically the rate of unemployment of our professions are very low or none. I would now like to ask Anna and Stephanie, in the background, do we have questions from the audience, and can you deliver us these questions before we continue?
Am I on mute? You're on mute.
You are muted. Sorry, please turn on your microphone.
Can you hear
Yes.
me now?
Yes, we hear you.
I just wanted to say, before we hand it back over to Anna, just to add a little bit into your question to Daniel about the initiatives. We're involved in a number, as you know, the Train ESEE as well, which Zagreb are leading, and the ORM at schools ESEE as well, and the OpESEE. And I do think it makes a big difference, because having read the research and having completed the strategy paper for OpESEE, the same occurrences keep coming up and the same correlations. And I think by having these EU-funded projects, whereby we can come together and we can swap the knowledge and we can learn from each other within these initiatives, I do think helps. And I do see an increase, especially on visibility within Europe, of more partnerships with that. So like, for instance, the ORM at schools ESEE, and also what the ESEE region brings in knowledge themselves and experience also to us as partners as well. So I just wanted to mention that.
Many thanks, Maria Elena. Anna, do we have questions?
So far, we don't have any questions from the audience. I once again remind the audience that we collect your questions in the Slack channel. So you will find a channel that is called Brain Drainer Education. You can find the link to Slack on the conference details at the website ec-dc.eu. So if you want to go there, post your questions, we will be happy to answer them. And I wanted to make a comment also on this very interesting dialogue here, while the people may be inputting some questions. I really love how this spirit comes up now, that the cooperation is very important, and it can create a win-win situation. If we, for example, work in projects together, or as Ms. Divjak has said earlier, that actually if you want to work together, you will have a greater outcome, of course. So do we have any questions now?
There is a question in the Q&A box. I can read it now. How is the topic treated at the political level in the ESEE region? Who would like to answer this?
Maybe I can tell you something about that in the
Mm-hmm.
Republic of Serbia, if you agree.
Yes, please, Nenad. Go ahead.
is for Serbia because as you can see, the number of young immigrants to OECD and EU countries are enormous, huge, and that is very important in our country. And at this moment, we have a support of the government and we are delivering a project mapping of Serbian diaspora, and I think it is very important for our country, for my country, and to all other countries in the Western Balkans, because once again I want to underline there is no data about our diaspora, and the mapping of diaspora is very important. For example, for circular migration, that is one preposition for communication, to know where your diaspora is. And just to say thank you very much for Daniel Berger for very interesting information about Germany in line with immigration.
Thank you very much, Nenad. The situation, I think, is quite similar also in Croatia. If I may add, from our aspects here, also there is a lot of talking, there is a lot of mapping, there is also general lack of data because people are still having a citizenship in Croatia. So basically, when the analyses are done, they are done by the collections from the Eurostat, from the immigration offices from European countries, and not from the Croatia, so it makes it difficult to track. But it is a problem. I will now we have a couple of more minutes. I'm looking whether Anna will remind us. So let's say 5 more minutes before the end of this session. And for these 5 minutes, I would like all of you to address with 1 minute and underline your final conclusions and the messages to the audience. So in the same order, I will ask first Nenad to start.
Again, I'm in the first place, and thank you very much for that. But as I said before, I just want to underline mobility, circular migration. That is the right way as a weapon against brain drain in our countries, and walls between us is something which is a part of the past. As a young person, I think that is a part of the past. And cooperation, mobility, and some programs in line to connect, especially young people in the region, in the European Union and Western Balkan countries, are very important, and that is the key message. That is the right way for the future.
Thank you very much, Nenad. Suzanna, can you start with your last words?
Sure, thank you very much. Just few sentences again from me, very similar to Nenad's opinion. I also think that education is the key, but with all the activities, we should be opening the eyes of our young people, just giving them the chance to experience the international exchange on every level, personally or professionally, and get them close spiritually with the colleagues from the West Europe or European Union in general, of course, the Eastern Europe colleagues, but somehow trying to heal the historical wounds and healing these historical wounds of the complexes that Bosnian people might have from the unfortunate very long history of being under occupation of the strong forces from East or West. Healing Bosnian complexes will really help us gain confidence for these young people, and having confident, strong and hardworking young Bosnian engineers or professionals of any kind will practically give Bosnia a much better starting point one day when we enter European Union. And of course, we will be much more useful member of the European Union in the future that way. So I personally am working on that, giving confidence to my students, and I think future is very bright.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this encouraging words, Susanna. Zoltan, please continue with your last words.
Yeah, so I said I'm not an expert. They say that the ultimate way of expressing your preferences is through mobility. So if you are not satisfied with how things are going in your country, then you have the option to leave it. And for many, many years, people would typically deny this opportunity because of restrictions and stuff like that. We no longer have so many restrictions. So now it's the pressure on these countries to create opportunities for people. And so then they will like what they see. And then in that case, they will not leave, or maybe they will return later on. So I see great opportunities in the ability to move freely within the European Union. So that's my thought. Thank you very much for inviting me to this conference, and have fun for the rest of today and here tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Zoltan. Daniel, what would be your last message to the participants?
My last message would be, I think we should not try to stop young people to move out to foreign countries to learn something else or to gain more knowledge. This is quite natural. We should concentrate on the brain circulation. So really trying to get them back if they are more experienced age. As I remember my own age at 18, 19, I always wanted to go out in big cities and so on. And later I realized it's good to stay at home with your parents and your family and nearby and so on. So you could mainly summarize this session with, we have heard mobility from Leonard. We've heard education exchange from Suzanna. We've heard opportunities from Zoltan. And I would add, try to change the attitude of the young people, plus, work on the living conditions, maybe.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And our last speaker is Maria Elena. What would you like to add?
It's very hard to add something to this, but as a person who has spent their life out of their home country, I do think it's the cooperation. I think it's removing some of the attitude and fear around brain drain and approaching it from the different perspective. And indeed to create the opportunities in Erasmus mobility or other types of mobility and EU-funded projects that we can come together and collaborate. I think the collaboration and the dialogue and something like we are doing right now is of utmost importance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With these very encouraging last words, I would like to thank to all of my panelists for the very fruitful discussion, supported with a lot of numbers, with a lot of data collected. I would also like to thank to our organizers, Montana University of Leoben, which now it is a tradition. We are now in the 12th ESEE DAO conference. I do hope that the next one is going to be in person. So thank you very much for this fantastic opportunity to network again in these virtual conditions. Anna, and the floor is yours.